A 12-year-old girl is being sold like cattle at a frontier fair by her own uncle. Her mother just died of tuberculosis and now they're offering her for a sack of rice and a rusty rifle. Everyone expects the worst for her when 4 Apache riders appear. But what happens next will defy all expectations and make you cry like never before. If this story moves you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because we have many more incredible stories to share with you. The Santa Fe sun burns mercilessly on Maya's face as tears dry before reaching her cheeks. Her small hands tremble as she clutches the torn dress that belonged to her mother, the only memory she has left of Elena, who died coughing blood just a week ago in a roofless shack. "Stay here and don't move," her uncle Rodrigo orders with a coldness that chills the blood. His eyes can't even look at her as he walks among the fair stalls searching for buyers. Maya knows what's happening even though her 12-year-old mind refuses to accept it. The whispers of the traders, the looks she receives from men with hungry eyes, the way Rodrigo talks about her as if she were a mare he needs to get rid of before she spoils. Is this the girl? The harsh voice belongs to a fat man who smells of rancid whiskey and old sweat. His greasy hands reach toward Maya's face, but she instinctively recoils. Yes, she's very obedient. She knows how to clean, cook, and Rodrigo pauses, swallowing hard. She's young, so she'll last many years. Maya's stomach churns. Her own uncle, the only family she has left in the world, is negotiating her body as if it were meat at the market. "How much?" asks the man, examining her like livestock. "A sack of rice and a rifle that works." Maya feels the world collapse. Her entire life is worth less than a week's food. Her mother's words echo in her mind. "You're stronger than the world believes, Maya. You have the heart of a warrior." But right now she feels like the most defenseless creature on earth. "Come here, girl," says the man, extending his sweaty hand. "You belong to me now." "No," Maya whispers, backing away. "Please, Uncle Rodrigo, don't do this to me. I promise I'll be good. I won't cause trouble." "You're no longer my responsibility," Rodrigo responds without a trace of emotion in his voice. "Mr. Johnson will take good care of you." It's a cruel lie, and everyone knows it. Johnson's eyes gleam with a malice that makes Maya want to vomit. Suddenly the sound of hooves resonates through the fair like distant thunder. Conversations stop abruptly. Traders cease hawking their wares. Even children stop crying. A sepulchral silence spreads through the place like a plague. 4 riders approach slowly. Their silhouettes are outlined against the desert sun like shadows from hell. Their faces are weathered by years of wind and war, their bodies marked with scars that speak of survived battles. The horses they ride are beautiful and wild, like extensions of their own indomitable souls. Apaches. Terror grips the fair. Some traders begin to slowly retreat. Others move their hands to their weapons with trembling movements. Johnson immediately releases Maya's arm and walks away, muttering something about not wanting trouble with savages. Rodrigo also retreats, his face pale as the moon. But Maya can't move. She can't take her eyes off these men that everyone fears. There's something about them that calms her in a way she can't explain. Maybe it's because she's already hit rock bottom, and these strangers can't make her situation worse than it already is. The group's leader dismounts with the grace of a feline. He's tall, with hair black as night, tied back with a leather band. He has scars on his arms that tell stories of survival, but it's his eyes that capture all of Maya's attention. They're intense, yes, but not cruel. They're the eyes of someone who has seen too much pain in the world. He walks directly toward Maya, completely ignoring the terrified looks from the others. When he reaches her, he slowly crouches down to her height. For long seconds that seem like eternity, he simply looks at her, not like Johnson, who saw her as an object of pleasure, not like Rodrigo, who saw her as a problem to get rid of. This man looks at her as if he could see directly into her broken soul. "What's your name?" he asks in imperfect but gentle Spanish. "Maya." She responds with a thread of voice. Maya, he repeats, as if savoring each syllable. A beautiful name. I'm Wakiza. Where is your family? Maya points toward Rodrigo, who is trying to disappear into the crowd like a frightened rat. He's my uncle, Maya says. My mother died, and he's... She can't finish the sentence. The words stick in her throat like stones. Wakiza understands without need for explanations. His face hardens, but not with Maya. The fury is directed toward Rodrigo, toward Johnson, toward this cruel world that allows children to be sold like merchandise. He slowly rises and walks toward Rodrigo with measured steps. Though he's not particularly tall, there's something in his presence that makes him seem gigantic, like an approaching storm. You sell this child. His voice is soft, but there's steel in every word. I just want someone to take care of her, Rodrigo stammers, sweating profusely. I don't have money to support her. For a sack of rice and a rifle? The question hangs in the air like a death sentence. Rodrigo can't answer because there's no response that could justify what he's doing. Wakiza returns to Maya and crouches again. This time he extends his hand toward her, but not to take her, to offer it to her. You can come with us, he tells her with a voice softer than silk. But only if you want to. The choice is yours. Maya looks at that extended hand as if it were a miracle. In her entire short and brutal life, no one had given her a choice. They had always decided for her. Her mother had decided to protect her until the end. Her uncle had decided to sell her. Johnson had decided to buy her. But this stranger, this Apache that everyone fears like the devil himself, is offering her something no one else had ever given her, the freedom to choose her own destiny. With hands trembling like leaves in the wind, Maya takes Wakiza's hand. It's warm and rough, a warrior's hand, but he holds hers with the delicacy one uses to hold a flower. The journey toward the mountains lasts 3 days that change Maya's life forever. She rides behind Wakiza, clinging to him as if he were her only anchor in an ocean of uncertainty. The other 3 Apaches are called Nalnish, Goyathle, and Chitani, and little by little Maya realizes that these men are not the monsters described in the white men's stories. When they stop to rest, Nalnish offers her fresh water from his canteen without her asking. His hands are gentle when he teaches her to drink without wasting a single drop. Goyathle shares his dried meat with her when he notices she's hungry, making sure she gets the best pieces. Chitani, the youngest of the group, shows her how to make a small shelter with branches to protect herself from the desert's night wind. But it's Wakiza who truly calms her. During the nights, when they camp under a sky sown with stars brighter than Maya had ever seen, he sits near her and tells her stories. Stories about mountains that seem to touch the sky, about his people who run free like the wind, about the freedom felt when nothing and no one can chain you. Why did you help me? Maya asks him the second night, when she finally finds the courage to speak beyond monosyllables. Because all children deserve to be free, Wakiza responds, looking toward the stars as if he could read secrets in them. And because I saw in your eyes something I know very well, the pain of having lost your mother. Did you also lose your mother? When I was 8 years old, white soldiers attacked our village at dawn. My mother hid me in a cave before they arrived. I could hear the screams, the gunshots. When everything ended and I came out of my hiding place, she was no longer there. I never saw her again. Maya feels an immediate connection with this man. Both have lost the most important thing in their lives. Both know the bitter taste of orphanhood, the weight of being alone in a hostile world. And what's going to happen to me now? Maya asks, and her voice is barely a whisper, lost in the desert's immensity. You're going to have a family. Wakiza responds with a smile that completely transforms his face. A family that will choose you as much as you choose them. The Apache camp is like nothing Maya has ever seen. The tents are arranged in a perfect circle, as if the entire community were a large family embracing. Children run freely among the tents, their laughter filling the air like celestial music. Women work together, weaving, cooking, caring for the little ones with a harmony that speaks of years of cooperation. Men tend to the horses, weapons and hunting, but always with time to smile at the children running between their legs. When Maya arrives riding behind Wakiza, everything stops. Not with hostility, but with natural curiosity. It's obvious she's not Apache. Her skin is lighter, her brown hair shines under the sun. But they don't look at her as if she were an intruder. They look at her as if she were interesting, as if she were a new page in a book they're eager to read. An older woman approaches them with confident steps. Her hair is completely white, like mountain snow, but her eyes are young and bright like stars. She wears a leather dress decorated with colored beads that sound like a soft melody when she walks. There's wisdom in every line of her face, and natural authority in the way everyone looks at her with respect. "Wakiza," says the woman with a voice like honey over stones, "who is this child?" "Her name is Maya, grandmother Ayana." Wakiza responds with deep respect. "She has no family. Her uncle was selling her as a slave in Santa Fe." Ayana's eyes harden for a moment, like steel tempered in fire, but when she looks at Maya, they immediately soften until they become lakes of understanding. "Are you hungry, child?" she asks with the same naturalness one asks if the sun rises in the east. Maya nods timidly, suddenly aware that she hasn't eaten anything decent in days. "Then eat with us. We'll talk later." If this story is moving you as much as it moves me to tell it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. We have many more incredible stories like this that will make you reflect on the true nature of love and humanity. The first days in the camp are the most confusing and terrifying of Maya's life. Not because they treat her badly, but precisely because of the opposite. She has lived so long expecting pain that she doesn't know how to react when it doesn't come. She's like a wild animal that has been rescued but still doesn't understand it's safe. They give her her own small tent, right next to Ayana's. It's simple but incredibly comfortable, with soft furs that smell like cedar smoke and a small fire that keeps away the cold of mountain nights. But Maya can barely sleep. She stays awake all night, tense as a bowstring, waiting for someone to enter and hurt her, waiting for them to tell her it's all been a cruel joke, waiting to be sold again. During the day, she stays close to the trees surrounding the camp, always ready to flee if necessary. She has found a sharp stick that she keeps hidden in the folds of her torn dress, her only weapon against a world that has betrayed her so many times. Apache children try to approach her with childhood's natural curiosity, but Maya pulls away like a frightened cat. Women leave food in front of her tent every morning, but she barely tastes it, fearing it might be poisoned or have some hidden price. Men greet her with kind gestures when they pass by, but she lowers her gaze, unable to maintain eye contact with anyone. Only Wakiza can approach her without triggering total panic. "Why are you so afraid?" he asks her one night when he finds her sitting outside her tent, hugging her knees and looking at the stars as if they were her only allies in the world. "Because I don't understand," Maya responds with a voice that breaks like old glass. "I don't understand why you treat me well. In my experience, everyone always wants something. My uncle sold me for food. That horrible man wanted to buy me for terrible things. What do you want from me? What's the price I'll have to pay?" Wakiza sits beside her, but maintains a respectful distance, as if understanding she needs space to not feel cornered. "I'm going to tell you something," he says with that soft voice Maya has learned to associate with safety. "When I was young, my people were attacked by soldiers. Many of us died that day. Those who survived were scattered like seeds in the wind. I was alone for months, stealing food, sleeping wherever I could, trusting no one, until this same people found me and took me in." "But you're Apache," Maya protests. "I'm nothing. I don't belong anywhere." "And what does that matter?" Wakiza asks with a sad smile. "Blood doesn't make family, Maya. Love makes it. Loyalty makes it. The decision to care for each other makes it. Here it doesn't matter the color of your skin or where you were born, only whether you have a good heart matters. And if I can't fit in here, and if I'm too different, and if my heart is too broken to be good, then we'll make space for your difference. Wakiza responds with a conviction that cuts through the night air like a sword, and will help heal your heart, because that's what a true family does. It doesn't demand perfection, it creates conditions for perfection to be possible. That night, Maya sleeps a little better, but distrust continues gnawing at her heart like a worm. It's in the second week, when Maya makes the decision that almost changes everything. She decides to flee. Not because someone has hurt or threatened her, but because the weight of so much goodness is too difficult to bear for someone who has lived her entire life preparing for the worst. It's as if she had spent years in a dark cave, and suddenly someone had taken her into bright sunlight. The light hurts, even though it's beautiful. She waits until everyone is deeply asleep, takes her sharp stick and some dried meat she had saved, and escapes toward the mountains like a ghost in the night. She runs for hours, stumbling in the darkness, scratching her arms and legs on branches, crying non-stop until she runs out of tears to shed. She doesn't know where she's going. She only knows she has to get away before the illusion breaks and cruel reality returns to shatter her heart. When dawn tints the mountains gold and pink, Maya is completely lost. The mountains all look the same from where she is, like sleeping giants guarding secrets she'll never understand. She has no idea how to return to the camp, and most terrifying of all, she's not sure if she wants to return. She sits on a rock and cries until she feels she'll dehydrate. Her feet are bleeding inside her broken shoes. She's hungry and thirsty, and for the first time since she fled, she begins to realize she may have made the biggest mistake of her life. That's when she sees it. Hanging from the low branch of a twisted tree, shining under the golden dawn light, like a promise of heaven, there's a necklace. It's made of small white shells, exactly like the one her mother used to wear. Exactly like the one that had been buried with her because it was the only thing of value they had. Maya approaches slowly, as if the necklace were a mirage that could disappear if she moves too quickly. When she takes it with trembling hands, the shells are soft and warm, as if they had been waiting for her entire life. "Your mother had a necklace like that," says a familiar voice behind her. Maya turns so quickly she almost loses her balance. Wakiza is there, standing next to another tree, as if he had been waiting for her. He doesn't look angry or disappointed, he just looks sad. "How?" Maya begins to ask, but the words die in her throat. "You did exactly what I expected you to do," Wakiza says with a melancholic smile. "You ran when things got too good to be true. You ran because you've lived so long in hell that paradise seems like a lie to you. Did you know I was going to flee? I knew because I did it once too. When the people took me in after losing my family, I couldn't believe someone could love me without really knowing me. So one night, just like you, I fled to the mountains. And what happened? My adoptive father followed me, just like I followed you. And he told me something I never forgot, something I now tell you. You can run from goodness, but it will always run faster than you, because true goodness doesn't get tired, doesn't give up, and doesn't abandon you just because you abandon it." Maya looks at the necklace in her hands, feeling as if she were holding a piece of her mother's soul. "How did you get this?" "I bought it from a trader in Santa Fe before we left. He told me it had belonged to a woman who died of tuberculosis, who had left an orphaned daughter. I thought maybe you'd like to have it, something that connected you to her, something that reminded you that love never really dies." Maya falls to her knees on the rocky ground, and for the first time in her life, someone has done something for her without expecting absolutely anything in return. Someone has thought about what she might need to heal, not about what she could give to be useful. "Why?" she whispers, and her voice is like wind through leaves. "Why do you do this for me? Why did you follow me? Why didn't you let me go?" "Because when we lose someone we love, we have two options," Wakusa responds, slowly approaching and extending his hand again. We can allow the pain to harden our heart until it turns to stone, or we can allow it to soften our heart until it becomes a source of compassion. I chose the second option, and I believe you can choose it too. And if I can't, and if I don't know how to accept love without expecting it to come with a terrible price, then we'll teach you, Wakiza says with a certainty that moves mountains, step by step, day by day, until you remember what it means to be loved, simply because you exist, not because you're useful. This time, when Maya takes his hand, it's not out of desperation or because she has no other choice. It's out of hope. It's because for the first time in her life, she dares to believe that maybe, just maybe, she deserves to be happy. The return to the camp is completely different. Maya no longer walks with hunched shoulders and head down like a defeated animal. She wears her mother's necklace, and each step she takes toward camp is more confident than the previous one. She's not running toward something, she's walking home. Apache children run toward her when they see her arrive, and this time Maya doesn't pull away. She smiles at them timidly, and when a little girl named Itzayana offers her a yellow wildflower that shines like a little piece of sun, Maya accepts it with hands that no longer tremble. "Thank you," Maya says in Spanish, and then, using the few Apache words she had managed to absorb during her days of silent observation, she adds, "Ahe." Itzayana's smile is so bright it could illuminate the entire mountain. Ayana approaches them with that natural grace that characterizes wise women, and Maya can see profound relief in her ancient eyes. "Are you ready to stay this time?" the elder asks, but there's no reproach in her voice, only genuine curiosity. "I think so," Maya responds, and it's the first time her voice sounds firm since she can remember. "But I don't know how to be part of a family. It's been so long since I had one that I don't remember how it's done." "No one is born knowing that, child," Ayana responds with the wisdom that only comes from having lived many lives in a single existence. "It's something learned day by day, with patience and love, and we have plenty of both to give you." And so begins Maya's true transformation, not the frightened girl who arrived at the camp, but the extraordinary woman she's destined to become. The months that follow pass like the most beautiful of dreams. Maya begins to learn the Apache language, first simple words like water and food, then complete sentences that allow her to truly communicate with her new family. Ayana becomes her teacher, not only of the language, but of the rich and complex culture of her adoptive people, of traditions that go back centuries of accumulated wisdom. She learns that Apaches are not at all the savages described in white men's stories. They are a people with a deep understanding of nature, with traditions of respect toward elders, care for children, and valuation of freedom above any material possession. They are people who have learned to live in harmony with the world instead of trying to dominate it. She also learns practical trades that connect her to this new world. Chitani teaches her to make fire by rubbing 2 sticks with a technique requiring patience and precision. Nalnish shows her how to identify medicinal plants, how to distinguish between those that heal and those that can harm. Goyathley teaches her to ride horses, not like whites, who see horses as tools, but like Apaches, who see horses as companions, as extensions of their own souls. But it's with the women, where Maya truly flourishes like a flower that has finally found the right soil. Ayana teaches her to weave baskets with a skill that surprises everyone. Her hands seem to remember techniques she's never learned, as if the art were in her blood. Soon her baskets are as beautiful and functional as those of women born in the tribe. "You have blessed hands," Ayana tells her one afternoon, while Maya finishes a particularly intricate basket with designs that seem to tell a story without words. "Your hands know how to create beauty where there was none before." "My mother taught me to weave when I was very small," Maya responds, unconsciously touching the necklace she always wears now. "She used to say that hands that create beauty can never create real harm." "Your mother was a very wise woman," Ayana says with the solemnity of one who recognizes deep truth. "Her spirit lives in you, and she's happy to see you flourish." But Maya's true transformation isn't just in her new skills or her growing mastery of the Apache language. It's in her heart, which little by little learns to open again, like a flower that has survived the cruelest winter and finally feels spring's arrival. 3 years pass like clear water running through the mountains. Maya is no longer the frightened and broken girl who arrived at the camp. At 15 years old, she has become a beautiful and strong young woman, with the wisdom that only comes from having known the deepest pain, but having chosen love over resentment. There's something special about Maya that everyone in the camp can see and feel. She has an almost magical way of treating crying children, a natural wisdom for comforting those who are sad, and an extraordinary ability to heal not only wounds of the body, but also wounds of the soul that are sometimes much deeper and more dangerous. When 3 orphaned children arrive at the camp, children who have lost their parents in a brutal soldier attack, and who arrive with the empty eyes of those who have seen too much horror for their age, it's Maya who comforts them. She sits with them for hours that turn into days, telling them stories that restore their hope, singing them songs that remind them the world can still be beautiful, and helping them understand they can be happy again without betraying their dead parents' memory. "How did you know exactly what to tell them?" Wakiza asks her one night, after seeing how Maya had managed to make the smallest of the children, a boy barely 6 years old, who hadn't smiled in months, laugh until his stomach hurt. "Because I was once a frightened girl too," Maya responds, and there's no longer pain in her voice when she speaks of her past. "And I remember exactly what I needed to hear in those dark moments." "And what did you need to hear?" "That I wasn't alone in the world, that I deserved love simply for existing, that I had a place in this world, that I belonged somewhere, and above all, that I had the power to choose what kind of person I wanted to be, regardless of what had happened to me." Wakiza looks at her with pride, so deep it reflects in every line of his face. "You've become a healer of hearts," he tells her. "It's a rare and precious gift, more valuable than all the gold white men seek in the mountains." Maya smiles, and it's a smile that illuminates not only her face but all the space around her. "I learned from the best teachers in the world," she says. "I learned that true love has no conditions, that family is chosen with the heart, and that kindness is the most powerful force in the universe." It's in her 4th year with the Apaches when the moment arrives that will test everything Maya has learned about forgiveness, about love, and about the true nature of humanity. It's a day like any other, with the sun shining over the mountains, like liquid gold poured by the gods. Maya is sitting in a circle with the camp's smallest children, teaching them to make little clay figurines they'll later decorate with natural pigments. Her hands move with the grace of one who has found her purpose in life, and her laughter mixes with the children's like celestial music. Suddenly urgent shouts break the afternoon's tranquility, like stones thrown against crystal. There's an injured man, a white man near the canyon trail. Maya drops the figurine she was molding and runs toward where a crowd has gathered. On the ground, bleeding profusely and barely conscious, there's a young man of maybe 20 years. His blonde hair is dirty and matted, his skin is burned by the desert sun, and his clothes are torn as if he had fought against wolves. It's obvious he's been brutally beaten, and the blood staining his shirt speaks of serious wounds. "What happened?" Maya asks, approaching without hesitation, while others maintain a prudent distance. "We found him unconscious on the canyon trail," responds one of the warriors, his voice charged with distrust. "It looks like he was attacked by bandits or maybe soldiers. They robbed him of everything and left him for dead like a dog." Maya looks at the injured young man, and something inside her stirs like a river finding its course after a drought. Some of the camp's men murmur among themselves that they should let him go, that it's not their problem. After all, he's a white man, and white men haven't been exactly known for their kindness toward Apaches. White soldiers have massacred entire villages. White traders have cheated their people. White colonists have invaded their sacred lands. But Maya sees something different. She sees beyond skin color, beyond the history of conflicts, beyond the prejudices that separate peoples. She sees a human being who suffers, who needs help, who could die if no one acts. And in that moment, her mother's words resonate in her mind with the clarity of a bell. Hands that create beauty can never create real harm. "Take him to my tent," Maya says with an authority that surprises even herself. "I'm going to care for him." Some look at her with surprise, others with open disapproval. An older woman murmurs something about bringing trouble to the camp and rewarding enemies, but Wakiza, who has been watching in silence, nods slowly. "Do what your heart tells you is right," he tells her with that voice that has always calmed her. "I trust your judgment, Maya. You've learned love's lessons well." Aina also approaches, and though there's concern in her eyes, there's also understanding. "If you're going to do this," she tells her, "do it well, but be careful. Wounded hearts sometimes bite even those who help them." Maya spends the next 3 days and 3 nights caring for the injured young man with a dedication that borders on the sacred. She cleans his wounds with fresh water and medicinal herbs that Ayana has taught her to use. She gives him water to drink slowly when he's conscious and applies cold compresses when fever threatens to consume him. She barely sleeps, watching him constantly, changing his bandages, whispering words of encouragement in Spanish, even though he can't hear her. When he finally wakes up completely, 3 days later, the first thing he sees are the most compassionate eyes he has ever contemplated. Where am I?" he asks with a voice hoarse as gravel, trying to sit up, but being gently stopped by Maya's hands. "You're in an Apache camp," Maya responds in English. She has perfected through years of speaking with traders. "You're safe. They found you injured and brought you here." The instant panic that crosses the young man's face is almost comical if it weren't so tragic. He tries to get up quickly, looking for an exit, a weapon, anything. "Don't move too quickly," Maya tells him firmly but gently. "You're still very weak. You've lost a lot of blood." "Apache?" the young man asks, with eyes full of terror. Maya knows too well. "But you're not. You look—" "No," Maya responds with a smile that has as much pain as understanding, "but they are my family." The young man looks at her with confusion, so deep it seems physical. "I don't understand. Apaches are—" "What?" Maya asks, raising an eyebrow with an expression that's half amusement, half challenge. "Savages, monsters, bloodthirsty beasts. Is that what you were going to say?" The young man lowers his gaze, ashamed, and Maya can see her words have hit their mark. "Let me tell you something," Maya continues, sitting in a small chair next to his improvised bed. 4 years ago, when I was barely 12 years old, my own uncle sold me at a Santa Fe fair as if I were livestock. A white man, a respectable trader with money and reputation, wanted to buy me for a sack of rice and a rusty rifle. He had plans for me that would have destroyed my soul before destroying my body. The young man listens in absolute silence, and Maya can see how each word impacts him like a stone thrown into still water. "But it was these savages," Maya continues, making quotation marks in the air with her fingers, "who saved me. It was they who gave me a family when my own blood abandoned me. It was they who taught me what it means to be loved without conditions, respected for who I am, not for what I can give." "What's your name?" the young man asks, and his voice has lost all the arrogance it might have had before. "Maya," she responds. "And you?" "Thomas," he says. "Thomas Wilson." "Nice to meet you, Thomas. Welcome to my home." "Why are you helping me?" Thomas asks, and the question carries the weight of a lifetime of prejudices crumbling. "After what they did to you, my people, I mean, after how they treated you, why don't you let me die? It would be justice, wouldn't it?" Maya looks at him for long seconds, and when she speaks, her voice carries the wisdom of someone who has walked through fire and emerged forged in gold. "Because when the world abandoned me," she says slowly, "when my own family betrayed me, when the civilized treated me like merchandise, a tribe that everyone calls savage taught me the most important lesson of my life." "Which one?" That true love doesn't distinguish between skin colors, religions, or cultures. True love simply loves. And that if we allow the hatred others feel for us to become hatred within us, then they have won. They have managed to destroy the best in us. Thomas remains silent, processing words that are rewriting everything he believed he knew about the world. Besides, Maya adds with a smile that's like dawn after the longest night, "What kind of person would I be if I let someone die when I have the power to save them? What would that make me? How would I be different from those who hurt me?" Thomas stays in the camp for 2 weeks while he recovers completely, and during that time, Maya becomes his window to a world he had never known, to a way of life that challenges everything he had been taught. She shows him how Apaches live in perfect harmony with the surrounding nature, taking only what they need and always returning more than they receive. She teaches him about their sacred ceremonies, about their deep respect for elders who guard the wisdom of generations, about their unconditional love for children who represent the tribe's future. "I've never known people like this," Thomas confesses to Maya one afternoon, while they watch children play near the river, their laughter filling the air like singing birds. "All my life, I was told that Apaches were violent, that they had no soul, that they were less than human, that it was our duty as civilized whites to civilize them or eliminate them. And what do you think now?" Maya asks, though she already knows the answer from the way Thomas has been observing everything with new eyes. "Now I think I've been living a lie," Thomas responds, and there's real pain in his voice. "These people have more humanity, more compassion, more wisdom in their hearts than I've seen in most white men I know. They saved me without knowing me, without knowing if I was good or bad, without asking for anything in return. How many whites would do the same for a wounded Apache?" The question hangs in the air like smoke, and both know the answer. "It's not about being white or Apache," Maya explains with a teacher's patience. "It's about choosing to be good. There are good and bad people in all cultures, Thomas. The difference lies in what values we teach our children, what kind of society we build, whether we choose fear or love as our guiding principle." "But they saved me," Thomas insists. "They saved me without knowing me, without knowing if I was a threat. Why did they take that risk?" "Because that's how they are," Maya responds, pointing toward the camp where life continues with its calm and harmonious rhythm. "They see a human being who suffers, and they act. They don't stop to make political calculations or consider consequences. Their first instinct is to help, heal, protect, especially the most vulnerable." Thomas looks at Maya with admiration that grows each day. "You're extraordinary," he tells her. "After everything you've been through, after all the betrayals and pain, you're still capable of forgiving, loving, helping even those who represent the world that hurt you. I learned that holding grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick," Maya responds, repeating words Ayana had told her years ago. "Forgiveness isn't for others. I learned that holding grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick," Maya responds, repeating words Ayana had told her years ago. "Forgiveness isn't for others, Thomas. It's for oneself. It's the only way to be truly free." When the time comes for Thomas to leave, the farewell is emotional, in a way neither of them had anticipated. He has become more than a patient Maya cared for. He has become a bridge between two worlds, living proof that it's possible to see beyond prejudices and find the common humanity we all share. "I'll never forget what you taught me," Thomas tells her, taking Maya's hands in his. "I'll never forget that when the world abandoned me, when I was closer to death than life, it was you who saved me. I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to make people understand that everything we've been taught about you is a lie." "Don't tell the story for us," Maya tells him with a smile that is pure light. "Tell it for yourself. Tell it because you've seen the truth with your own eyes, and the truth deserves to be known." Thomas mounts the horse the Apaches have given him, along with provisions for the journey and weapons to protect himself. As he rides away toward the horizon, Maya feels deep satisfaction, as if she had planted a seed that would someday grow into a tree bearing fruits of understanding and peace. Wakiza approaches her and puts a hand on her shoulder. "I'm proud of you," he tells her. "You've proven that love is stronger than hate, that compassion can overcome prejudice, that it's possible to heal the world one person at a time." Maya smiles, touching the shell necklace she always wears, feeling her mother's presence like an eternal blessing. "I learned everything from you," she says. "You taught me that true strength isn't in conquering enemies, but in turning them into friends. That true victory isn't defeating others, but lifting them up." And as the sun sets over the mountains, painting the sky colors that have no name, Maya finally understands the complete meaning of her mother's last words. "You have the heart of a warrior and the wisdom of the mountains." The bravest warrior isn't one who fights with swords and rifles. It's one who fights with love against hatred, with understanding against ignorance, with forgiveness against revenge. And in that moment, Maya knows she has become the warrior her mother always knew she could be. Maya's story becomes legend in the camp, told around fires during cold nights, passed down from generation to generation as a reminder that true love knows no borders, that family is built with the heart, not with blood, and that even in the darkest moments, there's always the possibility of finding light. And every time someone tells the story, they end with the same words Maya used to say when children asked her how she had found the strength to forgive a world that had betrayed her. Because when you learn that you are loved without conditions, when you discover that you belong somewhere, when you understand that you have value simply for existing, then you have so much love inside you that there's no room left for hatred. And that love becomes a force that can change the world, one person at a time, one heart at a time, one act of kindness at a time. But Maya's story doesn't end with Thomas's departure. Life in the Apache camp continues, and with each passing year, Maya grows not only in wisdom, but in her ability to heal hearts that others might consider beyond repair. Word of the young woman who can mend broken souls spreads beyond the mountains, carried by traders, travelers, and even former enemies who have experienced her compassion firsthand. One autumn morning, 5 years after Thomas had left, a group of Mexican soldiers arrives at the camp. But they don't come with weapons drawn or hostile intentions. They come seeking help for their captain, a man who has been wounded not in body, but in spirit, tormented by nightmares and guilt over battles he's fought, unable to find peace in a world that seems determined to tear itself apart. The captain's name is Diego, and when Maya first sees him, she recognizes the look in his eyes immediately. It's the same look she once saw in her own reflection, the hollow stare of someone who has lost faith in the goodness of humanity. "I've heard stories about you," Diego tells Maya when they first meet. His voice is rough with exhaustion and pain. "They say you can heal what others cannot, but I don't think there's healing for what I've done, for what I've seen." "There's healing for everyone who truly wants it," Maya responds gently, "but it requires something most people find harder than any physical battle." "What's that?" "The courage to forgive yourself." Over the following weeks, Maya works with Diego not through medicines or ceremonies, but through stories. She tells him about her own journey from darkness to light, about how she learned that our worst experiences don't have to define us, but can instead refine us. She shows him how the Apache people, despite generations of violence against them, have chosen to keep their hearts open to the possibility of peace. "How do you do it?" Diego asks her one evening as they sit by the river, watching the water flow endlessly toward unknown destinations. "How do you keep believing in goodness when you've seen so much evil?" "Because evil is what happens when good people stop believing in goodness," Maya responds. "The moment we surrender to despair, the moment we decide that hatred is stronger than love, we become part of the problem instead of part of the solution." "But surely there must be people who are beyond redemption." "I don't believe that," Maya says with quiet conviction. "I believe there are people who have forgotten who they really are, people who have been so hurt that they hurt others in return. But underneath all that pain, there's still a spark of the divine in everyone. Our job isn't to judge whether someone deserves healing. Our job is to offer it and let them choose." When Diego finally leaves, he's not the same broken man who arrived. He carries with him not just physical health, but something far more precious: hope. Hope that he can make amends for his past. Hope that he can use his position to protect rather than destroy. Hope that his story isn't over, but is just beginning a new chapter. Years continue to pass, and Maya's reputation as a healer of souls grows. People come from hundreds of miles away, from different tribes, different cultures, different walks of life. They come carrying burdens they've never been able to put down: guilt, grief, rage, despair. And somehow, in the gentle presence of this young woman who has transformed her own deepest wounds into wells of compassion, they find the strength to begin healing. But perhaps the most significant moment in Maya's journey comes 10 years after she first arrived at the Apache camp. She's now 22, a woman in the fullest sense, respected not just within her adoptive tribe, but across the entire region as someone whose wisdom transcends cultural boundaries. It's during the spring festival, a celebration of renewal and new life, when a familiar figure appears at the edge of the camp. At first, Maya doesn't recognize him. He's older, weathered by time and experience, but there's something in his posture, in the way he holds his head, that sparks a memory. It's Thomas. It's Thomas. He's returned, but not alone. With him are 3 other men, all white, all carrying the demeanor of people accustomed to authority. They dismount respectfully, clearly understanding they are guests in a place that deserves honor. "Maya," Thomas calls out, and his voice carries a mixture of joy and nervousness. "I told you I would tell your story. These men have come because they needed to hear it." The 3 men introduce themselves. One is a territorial judge, another a military colonel, and the third a wealthy merchant who has significant influence in territorial politics. They have come, they explain, because Thomas has spent years telling them about his experience in the Apache camp, about the young woman who saved his life and changed his understanding of what it means to be human. "We've come to learn," the judge says simply. "Our people and yours have been at war for too long. Perhaps it's time to find another way." Over the following days, Maya shares not just her story, but the stories of her people. She shows these influential men how Apaches live, how they govern themselves, how they resolve conflicts without violence whenever possible. She introduces them to Apache children who speak multiple languages, to elders whose wisdom spans decades, to artists whose work rivals anything produced in the finest eastern cities. But most importantly, she shows them what it looks like when people choose love over fear, inclusion over exclusion, understanding over ignorance. "You've given us much to think about," the colonel tells Maya on their last evening. "I came here expecting to see savages. Instead, I've seen a civilization that in many ways surpasses our own." "We're not better than you," Maya responds. "We're just different, and those differences, instead of being reasons for conflict, could be reasons for mutual enrichment. Your people have technologies and knowledge that could benefit us. Our people have wisdom and practices that could benefit you. Imagine what we could accomplish together instead of against each other." The merchant nods thoughtfully. There are people in the territorial capital who need to hear this, people who have the power to make real changes. "Then take our story to them," Maya says. "But remember, it's not enough to tell them what you've seen. You have to show them through your own actions that another way is possible." As the men prepare to leave, Thomas approaches Maya privately. "I need to ask you something," he says. "Would you consider coming with us? Not permanently, but for a while. There are people in positions of power who need to hear directly from you. Your voice could change the course of history in this territory." Maya considers the request seriously. She looks around at the camp that has been her home, at the people who have become her family, at the life she has built from the ashes of her childhood trauma. "I'll think about it," she tells Thomas. "But if I do this, it won't be to prove anything to your people. It will be because I believe that every child, Apache, Mexican, white, or any other heritage, deserves to grow up in a world where their worth isn't determined by the color of their skin or the circumstances of their birth. That night, Maya sits with Wakiza and Ayana, seeking their counsel. "What does your heart tell you?" Ayana asks. "My heart tells me that everything I've learned here about love, about forgiveness, about the power of choosing understanding over hatred, it's meant to be shared beyond our community," Maya responds. "But I'm afraid of leaving the safety of this place, afraid of facing a world that might not be ready to change." "Fear is natural," Wakiza says, "but remember what brought you to us in the first place. You were a frightened child who chose to trust in the possibility of something better. Now you're a wise woman who has the power to offer that same possibility to others." "The choice is yours, my daughter," Ayana adds, using the term of endearment that never fails to warm Maya's heart. "But know that whatever you decide, you carry our love with you always, and this place will always be your home." Maya spends the night in contemplation, walking among the familiar paths of the camp, touching the places that hold her most precious memories. By dawn, she has made her decision. She will go with Thomas and the others, but not as a supplicant seeking acceptance from the white world. She will go as an ambassador of everything she has learned about the power of love to transform even the deepest divisions. She will go because she has finally understood that her mother's words about having the heart of a warrior and the wisdom of the mountains were not just about surviving her own trials, they were about using those trials to help heal the wounds of a broken world. If this story has moved you as much as it has moved us to tell it, please subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. We have many more incredible stories about the transformative power of love, the importance of chosen family, and the human capacity to find light, even in the deepest darkness. Because we believe these stories need to be told, that these examples of humanity need to be shared, and that we all deserve to remember that no matter how broken our past might be, we can always choose a future filled with love. As Maya prepares for her journey into the wider world, she carries with her not just the shell necklace that connects her to her mother's memory, but the accumulated wisdom of a people who have learned to transform suffering into strength, hatred into healing, and division into unity. Her story is far from over. In many ways, it's just beginning. For she now understands that her true mission is not just to heal individual hearts, but to help heal the heart of humanity itself. One encounter at a time, one moment of understanding at a time, one act of love at a time. And in a world torn apart by prejudice and fear, perhaps there is no mission more important, no calling more sacred than that of a young woman who learned that love is indeed the most powerful force in the universe, powerful enough to transform not just individual lives, but the entire course of history itself.